there. Thank you so much for watching, listening. Of course, I'd love to have you subscribe, and it'd be great if you'd like do the little thumbs up thing. That'd be fantastic, because this is a great channel and there's super helpful content, makes it relevant to your life, and kind of gives you hope and some fresh ideas. So we're going to finish our series called Psalms for Soothing Stress, right? Psalms, like in the book of Psalms here, for soothing stress. Do you have stress in your life? Are you human? Then you probably have stress. It could be little stress, it could be big stress. It could be a compilation of all kinds of stress. But I think if you're watching and listening, we all have stress. So I'm looking at the events in David's life, and because King David, he went through a lot of stress in his life. And then we're pairing it with the psalms that he wrote from that stress, from those stressful events. So today we're looking at his son, Absalom. And we read about Absalom in 2 Samuel 13 through 19, chapters 13 through 19. Absalom was David's son. And here's the deal on Absalom. You know, he's a really tricky dude, like seriously tricky. And, you know, David had married 4 or 5 wives. So from each of those wives, he had different kids. He had an older son, whose name was Amnon. And Amnon was the half-brother, he had a different mom, half-brother to Tamar. And Tamar was Absalom's sister. So Tamar and Absalom are like, you know, full-blooded siblings, but they're half-siblings to Amnon. So Amnon thought Tamar was super beautiful. And long story short, he raped her. And when she was raped, you know, she's just totally distraught, overcome. And Absalom, her brother, hears and sees her pain and her grief and her, you know, the trauma from it. And Absalom says to Tamar, "Stay at my house and I'll look after you. I'll take care of you." And Tamar moved into Absalom's house. Absalom didn't say anything, and King David didn't do anything, right? Amnon, his son, rapes his daughter, and King David doesn't step in and like punish or like, you know, say, confront Amnon and say, "Hey, you shouldn't be doing that. That was wrong." We don't see any record of that. So Absalom lets this anger and revenge build in his heart. And about a year later, Absalom has a bunch of the king's kids over to his house for a party. And when the kids are there, Absalom tells his servants, "Kill Amnon. When I give you the cue, kill him." And they do. They're at this party having a good time, and Absalom gives kind of the heads up, and the servants of Absalom rise up and they kill Amnon. Bad news, like really bad news. So David does not confront Amnon, and then he loses his son. His daughter gets raped by his son. Then another son, Absalom, he kills Amnon, and Absalom runs away to an adjacent country, lives in that country for some years, and finally he gets brought back to Jerusalem by Joab, David's military leader. And when Absalom is in Jerusalem, he stays there for like a year or two, a couple years, and David never brings him back to the palace, never reconciles him, never greets him, never sees his face for some years. And so Absalom gets ticked off about that. And he catches the field on fire, Joab's field on fire. But it says that Absalom sat at the city gate of Jerusalem for a couple of years and greeted everyone that came in and said, "Oh, the king is so busy. If I was, you know, I could help. If I was in leadership here, you know, I'd step in, I'd be available." And it says that he was very handsome and very appealing, leadership, strong, bold, confident, all that stuff. And it says that Absalom began to steal the hearts of the people. And after some years, Absalom decides to overthrow his dad from the kingship and place himself. It's a coup. It's a family coup. He places himself as the king. And you got to appreciate that David, this is Absalom's dad. David is traumatized, heartbroken. He has to run for his life, because if he doesn't run, Absalom will likely kill him so that Absalom can have the throne. You want to talk about stress and trauma and feeling betrayed and despondent? And David literally, he runs for his life. This is kind of reminiscent of Saul. That was our first episode when Saul chased David. But maybe this is even worse because it's not Saul chasing David. It's his son, his flesh and blood, who wants to kill him and remove him from the throne so that he can be the king. And David runs into the wilderness. At this point, he's an older man. He's not like elderly, but he's in the wilderness and he's running away for his life. And half of the people have stayed back in Jerusalem because they're loyal to Absalom. Half of them are running with him. And it's a time of chaos and what are we going to do and uncertainty and everybody's fearful and, the insecurity and what's going to happen to the kingdom, what's going to happen to King David. of all. And so all of this stress and uncertainty and fear and insecurity, anxiety, this is just culminating. And you can imagine David is stressed out. He's stressed out on all kinds of levels. He's stressed out because he's a leader. He's the king. His son betrayed him. He doesn't have a home. What's he going to do? Decisions he's got to make. And he doesn't want to lose his son. This is all horrible, horrible, horrible stress. But David writes Psalm chapter 3 in response to all this stress. And this is what he says in verse 3. But you, O Lord, are a shield about me, my glory, and the one who lifts my head. In the midst of this huge uncertainty, lots of fear, David says, you, O Lord, are my shield. You'll protect me. You'll be around me. You'll guard me. And you lift my head. When I get down and I get discouraged and I don't know what to do, you lift my head. You help me to look up. You get my focus off of everything around and you help me because you protect me. And then he says this, I thought this was really powerful. In verse 5, he says, I lay down and slept. I awoke, for the Lord sustains me. I lay down and slept. I find for myself that when I have a lot of stress going on, sometimes I have a difficult time sleeping because that stress, when I lay down, it can start to swirl, right? I'm thinking, what about this and what about that? And then if I'm not careful, sometimes the stress will bleed into my dreams if I fall asleep. Or I might wake up in the middle of the night and it's right front and center and I'm like, And so it's difficult. And if you have struggled with your sleep because of stress, this is a really encouraging verse. Psalm 3, verse 5. I lay down and slept. I awoke, for the Lord sustains me. And if you're struggling with sleep, and I've had this from time to time, when I wake up, if I wake up in the night, it might be 12:30, it might be 2, or whenever. There are a lot of times I might check the clock, try not to get on your phone, all that stuff. But I ask God, please help me go back to sleep. Please help me to cast my cares on you and to let you carry. Because I'm not going to do anything at night. There's nothing I can do at 2 a.m. that's going to be helpful and constructive, really, seriously. That's sleeping time. And I think it's really important for us to consider that sleep, God can give us sweet sleep. God gives his beloved sweet sleep. And so if stress has been stealing or sabotaging your sleep, maybe this is a really good verse to memorize. Psalms 3, verse 5. And to let God minister and be your strength and support in a time of this tremendous stress. I like this psalm. I like what David said, because no matter what was happening with his family, he still pressed in, nestled into God, and found comfort, strength, and support from God being right beside him, helping him all along the way. So I want to encourage you, what psalm, this is a question for you to answer, what is your favorite psalm that you like? And you might say, well, Psalm 23, some of us, we like Psalm 40, but I think we all have a favorite psalm or maybe a couple of them. So answer that question, what psalm is your favorite psalm? And of course, thank you for subscribing. Hit the notification bell right there. We'll keep you posted when we put up new content. And I know you're really excited about this amazing joke. This one's kind of medium. That'd just be honest, so you're prepared ahead of time. 3 conspiracy theorists walk into a bar, and you can't tell me that's just a coincidence. I know, that was kind of medium, right? I know. But of course, next week is going to be lots better. Thanks again.